Hi, I'm Don from DonDronesOn. Here are 20 great tips to help you create better cinematic videos, like this one. Well, many of you follow my channel for videos about the Canadian drone regulations, and for that I thank you. I actually love producing cinematic videos. Now, they typically don't get all that many views, but I like them and I'm proud of them. And isn't that really what it's all about? Anyway, here are my tips for improving your cinematic work. And I'll be using my Epic Autumn Leaves video to illustrate my points. This is a video I really like. There's a link to the video up there somewhere and down in the description. Hey, and while you're looking around, feel free to subscribe to my channel and make sure you turn on notifications. So my first tip is very simple, but sometimes hard to remember. Think ahead, plan your shots. If you just launch your drone and fly around, you are very unlikely to be able to put together a decent cinematic video afterwards. Systematically execute the maneuvers you plan out to ensure you get all your shots. I find that after a while, this will come quite naturally. Number 2, fly slow and steady. There is nothing worse than jerky flights in a video. Practice flying curves and gimbal moves to make these as smooth as silk. And I fly in cine mode, and it really helps to keep my speed down. And I often inject some nice, slow cinematic music right into my head while I'm flying to get me in the mood. Third, when you're making all these nice, slow, steady flights on your shot list, film much longer than you think you need. If you think a 5-second clip of a tree is enough, well, film it for 20 seconds. It's better to throw out footage than to wish you had that one extra second to hit a beat mark on the music. For this fall leaves video, believe it or not, I had over 60 gigabytes of footage. And in this view of my PowerDirector editing screen, these are the clips that I thought were good enough to even consider. So I've already chopped them down. And yet the final video is just this tiny bit over here. Yeah, 90%, maybe 99% of my footage ends up on the cutting room floor. Tip 4 is another simple one. Use a variety of shots when you're flying. Even a short video of just flying forwards at the same altitude can be boring. Fly at different altitudes. Low shots can be far more dramatic than high ones. Get some straight down shots. Swing your gimbal around. Spiral. Basically, develop a repertoire of shots and make sure you get them all in the can. One particular kind of shot deserves a tip of its own, the reveal shot. This is a videographic way to cause your audience to widen their eyes, wow, in amazement. It can be done by rising up from behind a foreground object, like I did in this shot, coming up through the trees, or gimbaling up to reveal some spectacular landscape, like this shot. You really need at least one clip like this on your shot list. And tip number 6 is also related to getting a variety of shots. Flying backwards is better than flying forwards. In a forward flight, there is no surprise. Your audience can see it all coming. But in a backward shot, there is an ever-revealing world all around you. And my favorite shot, absolute favorite shot, is what I call the reverse carousel. You're flying backwards, but also curving around, either to the left or right, as if you were riding on a carousel backwards. 3 of the 17 clips in this video are actually reverse carousels. And there are 0, absolutely 0, simply going straight forwards. Backwards is better. Tip 7 is to combine axis moves. For example, gently gimbal down as you rise up, or gimbal up as you fly downwards, maybe rotating slowly at the same time. Multi-axis shots are dramatic, and they're not actually that hard to do after some practice. Tip 8 is to use the so-called rule of thirds to compose your shots. Turn on grid lines on your display, and whenever sensible, keep the horizon on a grid line, the top grid line, and points of interest on the intersections of those grid lines. The rule of thirds is of course just a guideline, but it can often improve the look of your shots from a compositional perspective. And by the way, if you don't quite get it right while flying, well, sometimes you can make it happen in post-production. Another compositional tip is to try to incorporate leading lines into your shots. Leading lines, like the crest of the hill and the winding road in this shot, add interest and really helps to engage your audience in the video as their eyes follow those lines. Okay, so now let's switch over to some technical elements. Tip number 10 is to film at 60 frames per second. This allows you to slow down your footage in post-production if you flew too fast, or to deliberately include some slow-mo clips in your video. I don't know why, but people in slow-mo always appear to be having a better time. I don't get it. Filming at 60 FPS gives you a lot of flexibility. Even if you end up with huge files to deal with, it is worth it. My next tip can be scary for beginners, but the sooner you can wean yourself off of auto settings, the better. Filming on auto means that as your lighting changes in a shot, the exposure settings will change and the footage will look either, well, just weird or plain horrible. Getting shutter speeds, ISO levels, and white balance right isn't too hard with some practice. And even if you just start on auto, then switch it over and lock in the values. Tip number 12. Well, brighten it up in post. Yeah, if you didn't quite get the exposure right when you filmed it, you can often brighten it up in your editor. And for whatever reason, I often find I just need to tweak that brightness up a bit to make scenes pop. Sure, you can go whole hog and do color grading, but personally, I'm just too lazy. And that's probably a good spot to segue into editing tips for cinematic videos. Tip 13 is pretty fundamental for this kind of video. Have a single story. If your story is autumn leaves, stick to leaves. Even if you got a fantastic shot of a sailboat on that day, leave it for another video. Stick to one clear story. Tip 14, keep that story short. People have short attention spans. At least I do. Cinematic videos have to be short. 3 minutes at the most. This one is 3 seconds over. It's 3 minutes and 3 seconds. But my excuse is the length of the musical track. But seriously, be absolutely ruthless in your editing to keep that length under 3 minutes. 2 minutes is even better. Leaving your audience begging for more is much better than them yawning and looking to see how much more they need to endure. Tip 15, music. Having the right music can make or break your video. There's lots of nice music on the free YouTube audio library. In fact, I used to use Akash Gandhi tracks a lot for my cinematic work. But I've been using Epidemic Sound now for years and absolutely love how easy it is to find great tunes that match the mood of your footage. You've probably noticed I use Gavin Luke songs extensively, although I used a Trevor Kowalski tune in this video. There's a link in the description that will give you a free month of Epidemic Sound. Sorry, not trying to advertise Epidemic Sound, but it's good. I like it. Tip 16. Synchronize your transitions to the beat of the music. I treat the music track sort of like the backbone of the video. I lay that down first and manually mark the beat points and major dramatic changes in the music. The transitions between clips should align with those beat marks. If they don't, your audience will feel the discord and they won't like it. In this video, not only did I align the transitions to the beats, I aligned the explosive view of the endless leaves with a climactic point in the music, and it just works. Tip 17 is to keep the individual clips in your video short, maybe 3 to 5 seconds each. Now, in my case, my beats were a little under 4 seconds apart, and I felt that, honestly, that was too quick. So most of my clips are more like 8 seconds long. And the dramatic endless leaves shot is actually 28 seconds. Outrageously long, in my opinion, but it works to emphasize the scale. Anyways, try to use short clips to keep the interest up and avoid boredom. Audiences bore easily. You're probably bored to death already listening to me. Tip 18, and there's only a couple more. Keep the transitions between clips simple. Either hard cuts for drama or smooth fades to glide between the shots. I'm sure your editing software offers hundreds of crazy transitions, but that's all just junk in my opinion. Keep your transitions simple. In this video, most of my transitions are full second overlap fades, just simple fades, with the beginning of the fade aligned precisely to the beat mark. 2 transitions are hard cuts, but I use those for drama. Tip 19, and this one is actually, well, just a bit picky. You should never transition from one clip to another one moving in the same direction. A left pan should be followed by maybe a pullback, but not another pan shot in the same direction. I actually noticed that I broke this rule near the beginning of my video with 2 adjacent pans, but at least one is further back, so it works. And finally, tip number 20, avoid showing that you're filming from a drone. Do you ever see drone shadows or landing pads in movies or TV shows? No. You want your audience to feel inside the video, not like they're watching yet another drone video. Make it magical for them, like they're floating. Well, there you go, 20 tips for improving your cinematic drone videos. Thanks for watching to the end. Now get out there and make some awesome videos. I want to see them.